Thanks for joining the Spire Integration Partner Trade Show. My name is Natalie from Orchid Systems, the developers of Info Explorer, a business intelligence tool like an Excel pivot table connecting directly to your Spire data. In this presentation, we will describe some of the key features of Info Explorer, demonstrate some examples of the cubes, and highlight how to get started with this powerful yet affordable reporting tool. Do you need Info Explorer? Can it add value to your business? Do you have to make do with static two-dimensional extracts and reports when analyzing business data and spreadsheets when producing budgets and forecasts? Are you frustrated by having to wait for up-to-date data to answer urgent questions, or by using reports that don't give you the right detail to make fully informed decisions? Do you love the idea of a powerful business intelligence tool with real-time slice and dice capability plus integrated budgeting and forecasting, but assume this would be out of reach for a business your size? These are some of the key questions to ask yourself to determine how Info Explorer can be of value to your business. We often compare Info Explorer to pivot tables because they both help you analyze using multi-dimensional cubes. You can combine multiple data sources with a single cube. You can slice and dice to dynamically control and filter your view. So you can do your analysis based on different perspectives, by year, by customer, by vendor group, by product code, without the need for predefined queries or calculations. So you can add your on-the-fly calculations, which is an interactive capability that you often find in a spreadsheet, but in a spreadsheet you're not directly connected to your data. One of the main advantages is you are directly connected to your database, eliminating the need for manual data extraction or for import. It is a user-friendly and intuitive interface specifically tailored for multi-dimensional analysis, and you can send your cubes to different team members who can all look at their own data in their own time without having to connect to the system. It also supports integrated budgeting and forecasting, where you can build your budget bottom-up, top-down with multiple spread methods. And while we're not covering budget and forecasting in this presentation, you can find some example of that on the Info Explorer website. We will do a presentation showing you how to start with Info Explorer and using some examples of the sample cubes. And we find that one of the best way to realize the power of Info Explorer is to use the Lite edition, which is a free, fully functional edition with no time limit or commitment. The main restriction is that you can't change the underlying query. You have to use one of the predefined sample cubes, and you can't export to Excel or to CSV. You have to do all your analysis in the cube. But you can connect to your own database and customize the cube, as in adding some charts, some dashboards, adding some views. It's really a great way to get started, and we find some people actually keep using that. Many people want to add their own fields and their own queries for analysis, and then organize with their Spire business partner to purchase a license. So we'll show you basically how Info Explorer can replace multiple crystal report with just one cube. This presentation will show you how Info Explorer can be used as a reporting utility, where the resources are on the Info Explorer website, how we can download the programs, install it, connect to our data. We'll look at a range of the sample cubes that are available. And in the other streams, in the sales, operation, and financial streams, we're going into more details about each of the sample cubes. Here we'll cover the features such as adding a formula, adding your own fields, review the security, look at options to refresh the data. Best starting point to get going with Info Explorer is the infoexplorer.com website, which has some detailed features about the different editions of Info Explorer. And what we're looking at today is the resources. I will first point out to the online help for Info Explorer, and here's some particular step to get started with Spire. Once we've installed, we can have access to our sample cubes, we connect to our database, and we provide some details on how to do that. and then we refresh the data and start analyzing. So basically, that's what we're going to be doing today. On the Info Explorer website, under product downloads, as a Spire partner, I can log into the website and download. As a Spire user, I will need to fill in the details about my business. I can then download the exe, install it on my machine. Also download the Getting Started guide if I want a PDF version of the online help. The other important thing is the Info Explorer sample cubes, which we can also use from the application. We will look at that in the application. Once I've installed Info Explorer, generally the first thing I would do is go and download some sample cubes to help me get started. When I do that, I have access to my Spire cubes. We add new sample cubes on a regular basis. Feel free to come back and have a look. And we update the existing cubes as well regularly. We'll start with our Spire sales history cube that I can download from here. I have my sales history cube that I've now downloaded. I can save it somewhere on my machine. And the first thing I would do is go to the properties and on the connections tab, set the name of my ODBC connection. I need a 64-bit ODBC connection. I might need to download the 64-bit ODBC driver for PostgreSQL. We suggest you test the connection, make sure it's okay. When I say okay, I can then refresh and it will then read the underlying query and refresh the data. I can start doing my own analysis. As you can see on this, we have our dashboard with some charts. You can add your own charts and dashboards to the cube, or you can remove this. If I don't want this gross profit by salesperson, I can remove it. And if I want to add it back, I drag a view on the side and add it back to my cube. I can have multiple dashboards, so I could create a new one in here as well. In this example, and again, we are describing this cube in more detail in the sales stream if you are interested. But let's look at some key features in Info Explorer that are relevant for our analysis. Here we've got our gross profit and our gross profit margins. This is calculated in the cube, and we've put some traffic light reporting to indicate the range of margin percent that we have. We're also ranking our customers by total sales. And these are all formulas that we have added to the cube. If I look at this one, you can see it's set up as a descending rank. Some of the formulas that we can use are an ascending rank. We can calculate the number of records, total count, number of distinct records, a minimum, a maximum, or an average, or have our own formula. And we have an example here of our formula for the base margin percent. We're dividing the total value, the gross profit total, by the sales amount value and multiplying by 100 to turn it into a percentage. You can add your own formulas as required. Another type of fields that is interesting is it is in this on this view, showing the margin percent change across. This one is showing me the change between 2021 and 2020. If I drag my month out here, I'm now seeing my margin percent change by month. This is a change between February and January. This is a change between April and February. We don't seem to have March in there. And this is a change between May and April, etc. This field is dynamically calculated as I'm dragging and dropping different dimensions into my cube, into my view. Here I'm looking at year and month and these various customers. I could add my salesperson here and remove this little sub filter here where I'm just showing billing and Hillcrest. Now I'm looking at all my customers grouped by salesperson, and this margin percent and my base margin percent have all been recalculated on the fly. This is one of the beauty of Info Explorer and those formulas, is that they get recalculated depending on what you're looking at without having to run another report. We can see here, if we're looking at sales by item, we actually have access to extra information based on our user-defined fields. Once you download the sample cube, if you are using your user-defined fields, you may need to change their names in the query and change the field labels so that the user-defined fields are relevant to your business. We looked at the online help before. We can also access it here from the application. It's always something useful to remember. We can export this information to CSV, HTML, or Excel, provided we are running the standard or write-back license. This is the one feature that is not available in the free light version. But everything else that we've looked at, the ability to swap your dimensions, swap them back, expand, collapse, copy a view, add a new chart, add a new dashboard. This is all available in the light version. From the utilities side, another thing that is important to note is that you have some security options on the cube. So I can lock the whole file, I can lock the connections, which database connecting this cube to. I can lock the underlying queries. So if I have a standard or write-back license and I can change the query, I may not want all users to be able to change, so I can lock that. I can lock the refresh if I want to control when the information is refreshed and at what point people receive their cubes. And if I'm using the write-back to write back to the database, I can lock that as well. From an IT and financial management point of view, this is important to note. I can also configure my cube to refresh every X minutes. While my cube is open, it can be refreshing and reading the data. So this is useful when you have your back orders or your orders waiting to be shipped, or your sales orders. If you have regular orders, you can get that to refresh every hour, and everyone always has up-to-date information. If we look at some of our other cubes, here we have our AP outstandings. This is used for cash flow management and see which vendors are overdue, which ones I need to pay soon, etc. Similarly, to help manage our collection, we have all our outstanding receivables by salesperson and by customers. I can give every salesperson their collections to manage. In the financial stream, we looked at our GL balance cube, which includes our trial balance, balance sheet, our income statement. We looked at the fact that you can tailor this by division, so either by filtering on a particular division or adding the division in the view so that we have our balance sheet by division all in there. I can collapse my 12 months into one total or expand, filter. I can tailor my styles, and probably a good example to look at that is my base margin percent. If I edit that field and look at the styles for it, I can see that between 10 and 35 I'm using the style called yellow, less than 10 I'm using the style called red. I could change these values to say less than 20 it's actually red, and between 20 and 50 it is yellow, and I might actually create a new style called green where the background is green. I'm going to save this and I'm going to apply this to my base margin percent. If my margin is greater or equal to 50, or I could use a range or less than or greater than. If it's greater than 50, I'm going to apply the green style. So if I save this, close, save, you can see it has refreshed. Now I'm seeing my less than 20% margin in green, in red, my high margins in green, and in yellow my medium margins. This is something that you can adjust as you need to create different styles for different fields. When you're happy with this, you can then obviously save the cube or save it as, and that will be saved for next time you close this and refresh it the next day. This presentation, we've looked at the Info Explorer website, how you can download the programs, install them by just running the exe. You can then download the sample cubes, connect them to your own data by creating an ODBC connection. We've touched on adding new fields, looked at adding new formulas such as a margin percent, a rank, an average, a minimum, a maximum. Discuss the security options around the reports and the cubes, seen how we can refresh the data, seen how we can configure some styles and traffic light reporting in a range of cubes. Main benefits is you have this user-friendly interface for team members and can be used across many departments. In your sales department is a typical use where each salesperson will get a cube with their own customers, with their own sales data that gets sent to them every day, and they can do their analysis without actually having to log into the system, and they don't need to run another report to get more information. It helps with this interactive analysis. Users, particularly the more technical users, can define their own formulas, their own styles, add their charts and dashboards. Your finance team or your IT team will do that and shares that with your warehouse manager or your sales team. Basically, you can then replace many crystal reports with one cube. We've seen how we can get started on the help. And just a reminder that Info Explorer is developed by Orchid Systems, a software company based in Sydney, Australia. Been in business for 30 years, have won a range of awards over the years, and our software are currently used by 7,000 sites in over 80 countries around the world and supported by 450 business partners. For more information specifically around Info Explorer and not just about Orchid, you can go to the Info Explorer website, and if you want some more information around Info Explorer to purchase licenses, you can get in touch with your Spire partner who will be able to answer your questions. Thank you for your time, and I'd encourage you to go into the other streams to look at the presentations in more details around using Info Explorer for sales management, using Info Explorer to support your operations, and using Info Explorer for the financial team.